I do kind of miss our music though.
I know. Why don't we sing something?
If you can sing.
You can sing with me.
What you gonna sing?
What you want to sing? You want to sing a song?
What?
Ooh, my first mistake was
No, that's not funny.
I wanted too much. I can't think of a song that
Okay,
can
I'll do
actually
background.
go.
When you lie.
I have to have you morning, noon, and night. If I would have known then the things that I know now.
The things. Why you never do the things? Things.
The
Things.
things that I, did I do that?
No, that's how she said on the song though.
The things that I know now. I might not have lost the time. What's my harmony?
Oh, them coming in right now.
I might not have lost the time to worry about. Don't waste your time. I can't stand this girl.
I came in harmony.
Fighting blind mind and thoughts of despair. Hold on to your love. Me, you gonna have to practice.
I know, right?
Karaoke.
But that's our song though.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. We are getting it on, getting it in. Did yours come up yet?
Yeah, finally.
The live?
Got the showing all three of us live.
Ooh.
Is yours up?
I don't know yet how to child. Boom, boom. But it will come up.
You gotta make sure it come up.
It will. Uh-oh, there we go.
So how did you get yours to come up?
I went out and then went back in. So go to home. And something should come up. And go back to your notifications. That would go.
All right, all right.
Did yours come up yet?
Is yours up? I'm
But you
set.
had a flash play on that. Is that what you had last time?
No.
Yeah. But that had came up before, didn't it?
No.
The last
I'm
time.
gonna have to look at yours.
Okay. I'll just look at mine tonight. Everybody can look at this thing. Yeah, because that's what it is. You're missing the flash. The flash thing. Yep. The Adobe Flash. Splash. I don't know what else it is. It's all, we already on live, so
All right.
we'll probably just put it right here. Well, because you probably know because you the head honcho today.
Y'all ready?
Yeah, I mean.
Yes, Ebony.
Well, hello everyone. Welcome to our podcast.
What's up?
Thank you for joining in. For those that have joined in so far, we thank you. Tell your friends, tag your friends. Let them know we're on air right now.
Yeah.
Okay? So, of course, we are missing one of our podcasters. Hopefully she'll come later. Hey, Edie. So hopefully she'll come later and join us as she had some visits to attend to. So our topic for today, so we're going to kind of get into some things. So I don't know if y'all have noticed, I've kind of been noticing, in raising children that just how I kind of look at the way that I was raised, and I'm pretty sure how you all were raised, and just kind of looking at the differences and how much has changed.
Yeah.
Not just like fad or anything of that nature. I'm talking about how the parenting side has been. So just difference of styles, difference of just upbringing and things of that nature. So, but I just want to get into it. So our topic today is parenting then versus now. So y'all make sure y'all chime in and tell everybody about it. And y'all make sure you comment. Chime in and comment as well. So these are just our opinions, just so you know. Now, there's not so much a wrong way or a right way. There's really no book to tell you how to parent. It's just it's pretty much about your upbringing. But we want to go ahead and kind of focus on different things that we've noticed that were different as far as the parenting is concerned. So I'm going to kind of chime in first. And but what do you guys all think? Like, what do you think are ups and downs? What do you think are the fears or the should I say ups or downs as far as parenting? How we were parented versus like how your grandkids or how your children were parented, or how you parent your children. Like, what are some of the things that you noticed that are different?
My parents were really strict. They had us young, so they were really strict with us. And I thought for sure I was going to crack the whip just like them.
Yeah.
But I find myself not being that stern with them. I threaten, but I don't really follow through.
Yeah.
You know, which I'm sure most parents do. Only if they really tick me off, then I'll get them. Otherwise, I'm a wimp. I don't get them like I should.
She said she was a wimp.
Oh, my mom.
Right.
Let's see, my mom, she was not the, like, I hear some of the horror stories about people when they were parented back then, but my mom, she was easy greasy. I ain't getting no whoopings, I ain't getting no punishments. I know it could have
That
been.
explains it, though.
No, in my opinion, I think that was also for me, because like when I hear, but back then, I don't know, I think if we go back then my mom said that she was, like, they were so strict on her, so then therefore when she had me and my brother and my sister, that she felt that she wanted to do it totally opposite, because they were really strict, stern. So when she had me, she was just like, I'm gonna parent a whole different way, So.
Yeah, I would say that's the same thing with me. So my mom, I used to say she was mean. My mom was very, very we were scared to do anything. She worked hard, and I'm talking about when she came home, there better not be any dishes in the sink. And then, did you ever have a mom or dad that was over exaggerating? So I would leave I had washed the dishes, but I remember one time my brother left. He had 8, but he left a fork in the sink. And I remember when she came home and she yelled, she was like, "Who left these dishes in my sink?" She was screaming. I'm like, what? And I get downstairs, it's a fork. Yeah. But when I say, she's like, I don't want to see a fork, a plate. She didn't want to see nothing. I'm just like, I can't believe she did all of that because of that. But now, as I got older, I find myself, because you know what it was? And I think it was just one of those things where she worked so hard. She didn't want to have to come home and clean up after us. She wanted us to make sure we was responsible. And we didn't understand that then. But now I get it, because now I find myself you gonna clean your dish up, right? I'm not washing the dishes. I'm done. I wash dishes before I cook. When you guys eat, you clean your dishes off. I have the little scrungy sponge thing, and then it goes in the sink. So, but yeah, and I said the same thing you did. I was like, I am not gonna do my kids like that, because I felt so bad. I was like, I'm never gonna do my kids like that. My kids be like, "Mom, you're mean." I'm like, what? Like, no, I'm not mean. They were like, "Yeah, Mom." Sometimes I'm like, no, I think it's just more explaining. So I kind of used to watch myself as they got older to make sure I didn't, do the same thing. So I'm a little bit more lenient than my mom was when it came to my kids. So, but we're going to go ahead and touch on a few things. So another thing that I noticed, and this is something that I wanted to bring up statistically, and I did not know this, when it comes to education, you remember how we would watch Good Times and how people would say how they, had to drop out in the 4th grade or had to help their dad.
Yeah.
So I found out that back in the 20s, 30s, the high school dropout rate was 50%. So only 50% of a class was actually graduating. So it's a little different now, so it's only 10%. You see how big of a difference that is? Right now, you can't even get a job without a high school diploma. Back then, we just had, they just stopped going to school and they just started working. Yeah. So that was one thing that I definitely, they did. Yeah. So.
That was the case with my father. He did that.
Really?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because my parents had, like I said before, they had us young. So they were very strict with us, but I think they were strict because, first of all, they were young, inexperienced. And then, like I said, my father, he had a good job, so he had to drop out because he was the oldest of his brothers and sisters, so he had to help his mother.
Right, yeah.
So, yeah.
Oh, wow. Oh, that's interesting. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I totally get it.
Yeah. So, but that's definitely something that has improved. I would say what else has improved is, the different, the access to different education options, educational options. And, we're pushing, college, and we're just pushing education, period, And I noticed, too, back then, even though the parents didn't, they pushed education on us. I didn't get an education. You have to get an education, I want you to get an education and be better yourself. And I kind of look at that right now, even right now, if I only had I have a degree, but if I did not have one, I would still push my kids get your degree. Don't do what I want you, because we want our kids to be better. You know what I'm saying? That's kind of how I always thought when it came to my children as well. So definitely that. And then they got the online schooling. Oh, technology is something else. They got the online schooling. So it has definitely improved, since then. So I'm definitely glad for that. Did any one of y'all want to touch on the education thing?
Well, for me, my mom, it was the same thing because back in that era, like my mom dropped out and had to work. Of course, I don't think they really had an option to go to school. That was a different thing back then. Yeah. So the parents could not like force their kids to go to school because I don't think they had an option to go to school. But my dad did go to school and he went to the Vietnam War, so I think he got his education somewhere through that or whatever. But back then, they really didn't have that option to be like, you have to go to school as a parent. Back then, they more so pushed that you get a job, like at a factory or something, so you'd be able to like take care of your family. So,
and for us in our house, it was one of those things where, excuse me, it was one of those things where my mother had gotten some college, she was college educated. But they did not say, they understood that college wasn't for everybody. I kind of wanted to, and trust me, I've tried to go to college 4 times. College just isn't for everybody. Right. You know, I'm still making a decent living with my education level right now, but it just isn't for everyone. So we stayed at home a long time because my parents wanted to make sure financially we were ready to move out. So there was no moving out until we had money in the bank to put down. There was no renting. It was money put down on a house.
Yeah.
You know, because that's how they were in their day.
Okay. Yeah, you're definitely right about that. So another thing, and I was talking about how I look at kids today or whatever. The other thing that I wanted to point out, which was another point that I just feel disappointed, and I'm always constantly on my children about how the way they dress. So it's like, you know, with my daughter, she was kind of like me. So my daughter, I have 2 girls, but my daughter, since my other daughter's away at college, but you know, both of them actually kind of dress. They love the tennis shoes. They love the jeans, you know, T-shirts. My eldest daughter, she loves the graphic, anything that has a saying on it. My middle daughter, she's like, you know, she dresses in her T-shirts or whatever. But it's like when I would look at some of these girls, I'm like, your mom let you get, like, in my mind, I'm thinking, your mom let you go out of the house like that? Right. And literally, I'm like, I watch my daughter go outside every morning, and I have my cup of coffee in my hand, and I'm standing on my porch, and I'm looking at these girls. Like, one girl came up the street, she had orange hair. Now, I'm not clowning about the hair. You can dye your hair whatever color you want. But she had on this blue outfit, and she was a nice, thick-sized girl. But it was like, she had on a bra, she had on like a sheer through, and had on some biker shorts, but everything was pretty much out. These was out in the front, and I'm just like looking like, you came, like, she's younger than my daughter. She looks older than my daughter. My daughter's 17. But she's younger than my daughter. So I'm just like, you know, when I just don't get it. Like, when she walked out the house, like, who was there to watch her? Like, the way that they dress nowadays, provocative. They feel like they have to dress, and a lot of that stuff has to do with, you know, what they're promoting. Society has out here, what you're supposed to look like, how you should dress, the new trend, and the new trend ain't for everybody, right? You know what I'm saying? And so when I saw that, I was just like, you know, I'm conscious. I'm like, let me know. Even if I'm still laying down, I tell my daughter, let me know when you're going out the house, because then that's when I'm getting up. And when I get up, I'm looking at everything. I'm dressing her up and down, like, okay, you straight today, or no, I would change that. But she don't dress like that. But I mean, when you're dressing like, girl came outside, she had a nice little shape, shorts, they had on a bra, that was it.
But see, my mom back in, well, for me, in my opinion, it'd be different. Although I didn't have kids that dressed like that, but it was always for me a freedom of however they wanted to dress. Yeah. And I mean, Dad had a part when they wanted to do that and they knew what to wear. But I always thought it was an expression of their artistic side or what they wanted to wear. But back in the days, my mom, as a parent, back then, she would have her outfits as well and would leave out the house. And she would go to her friend's house and kind of like sew her skirts up, you know, a couple of inches or whatever. But I don't know. I think with parenting, you can only go as far, because I remember my mom probably did tell me not to wear something, but I would always have like a book bag and go over to my friend's house. And I would change. So I don't think that's like, so I mean, you could be in my opinion, you could be an awesome parent, but kids tend to do what they want to do. Yeah. You know, we could watch them go out the door, we can watch them do this, we could watch them. But, you know, if they want to wear something different, they have their stash, or they go to their friend's house, have their makeup, because it's like, my mom never did say wear makeup, but I would just remember would like go over and put on all this extra stuff, you know, at somebody else's house. But let me tell y'all a story. So everybody used to always know. So this is what I'm saying about parenting. I was not, you know, endowed when I was young. So I remember my dad, like, I went to school and like all the girls was like, you know, busty women or whatever. So I went to school one day and I had stuffed my bra with tissue. And now watch, but wait a minute, my parents watched me leave the house. You get what I'm saying? So that's what I'm like, the parenting part. But when I got to school with everybody else, I was like, I stuffed it up. And but look, the killer thing is I forgot when I got home. So my dad was there. Usually my dad is not at home. My mom probably wouldn't have paid attention. I would have went straight to my room. My dad was like, I walked past like, hey. He was like, wait a minute. He was like, Tiffany, come in. And I was like, I ran into the laundry room. and I started, you know, dismantling my new little thing. And he was like, so he went behind the dryer because I like threw everything back there. He was like, what is this? What are you doing or whatever? And I remember he was upset or whatever. But I'm just saying the parenting part about that, like in my opinion, I just don't think it have a lot to do with how the parent is, because you really watch and you try to teach them, but I mean with the influences outside and with everything going on, it's like they do what they want to do anyway for some reason. Especially the teenage years.
Yeah. Especially the teenage years. I was just thinking about kids sneaking and changing at their friend's house. We didn't do that. Yeah. Because my parents, not my father, but my mother would pop up at that school.
Yeah, she would.
And if she caught us in something that she knew we didn't go out the door with, we would have got it in front of everybody.
Yep.
So we were always too scared to do that kind of thing. But now, like you were saying with our girls, my daughter's 14, I can't find shorts that are
appropriate.
Yeah. I was trying to find her some stuff to go on her trip, and the school actually said, we understand that they sell the shorts now, which they do.
Yeah.
They just can't be booty shorts.
But that's what they're selling.
That's what, and I'm
I
like,
couldn't find no long shorts for my daughter.
no, I couldn't find any. I went to 3 stores finally. I said, okay, well, this is the longest I can find. Let's just work with this, because you don't want the older perverts looking at your young girl that way.
Definitely.
So it's really crazy. But then again, that goes back to parenting.
Yeah.
You know, my mother didn't dress provocative.
Yep.
You know, when I was little, I never saw that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Me, when I go out, I don't dress provocative. You know, I try to be cute. You know what I mean? But not where things are hanging out. Plus, I'm married. I can't be doing that anymore anyway. But even when I was single, I probably, because my mother did not let us wear makeup until we were 16.
Oh, wow.
And I couldn't wear a mini skirt until I was 18.
Really?
So they were very strict.
Ooh, no, it's something about that, and just like you said, because my mom was strict, and my mom was just, y'all, I would say my mom was so mean. Like, she would be like, if I had on makeup or I was going anywhere, she was like, so you trying to catch something? And I'm just like,
it's a sweater.
So I'll go back, and I've always been really skinny, but I've always been, I had a big chest, so she would always be like, Evan, you can't wear certain things when it comes to your upper body. Like your lower body, you're fine, but your upper body, like that, just all because I was skinny, but it looked like 2 cotton balls.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? All you saw was this coming, and so she would just be like, Evan, you gotta tone that down. So crazy.
We got Sharon Martin on here. She said, I had a thing with my girls wearing thongs. That was a no-no.
Yep.
Sharon, so did your mom let you wear thongs, or did you just like sneak and wear thongs? Because I'm pretty sure that, as a parent, did she say wear thongs or no? So you gotta clarify your statement on it.
Yeah,
on
please
here.
do. 'Cause I would like to hear that. But let's get into boys. So the thing is, whenever I go shopping for my son, you can't really find much for boys. It's like really not. There's not a really huge selection. But when they came out with them skinny jeans, I was just like, what are these?
Yeah.
But one thing that irritates my soul is when I see a boy sagging.
Yeah.
You know how many times I have been driving down the street and I'll yell out the window, pull your pants up. Like, anytime, even when my son is at my house, I be like, pull your pants up. He's like, Mom, I'm in the house, but pull your pants up. Because he always got to wear shorts under his pants. But I'm just like, I don't understand that. Like, why is that comfortable? Why do you feel comfortable doing that? You know what I'm saying? I'm like, do you even know the meaning behind what you're doing? You know what I'm saying? One, being that, you know, back in slavery days, if y'all didn't know this, that's what they used to do when they used to line the slaves up. They would make them pull their pants down. That's what they used to do. Yeah, it was almost like they was selling them. Y'all seen Get Out? That wasn't too far-fetched. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So it's like you really have to. I just stay on them. It's something that, you know, like you said, you didn't do certain things. I think I was scared of my mom, and so I would not dare, because for some reason, did y'all ever, when y'all was little, it seemed like we didn't have cell phones. All we had was landlines. So it's like I would do something at school. By the time I got home, she knew about it. Or if I was around the neighborhood somewhere, I'm like, she was like, well, you said, so and so called me and told me you was over there. I said, how do you even know them? There were people that in the community used to watch us. There were people that used to watch us, be like, that's Sheila's daughter. She would call her up on the phone and would tell me. That's why I was always scared to do anything.
Same here.
You know what I'm saying? So, but that's something with them boys. Then you said something earlier I wanted to touch on when it came to the boys, because you said it's like a fashion thing, like a fashion statement. That's what they saying, that they feel like. It was a guy that I was reading online. He said, his statement was, with the boys, said boys claim it's a style, it's the in style in many subcultures. So what they see, so basically what we do in like hip hop world, or what we do in, you know, when it's the hippies or whatever, that's what they do culturally. And then somebody else was like, it's an opportunity to be rebel or, you know, express your individuality. I don't get it. You can express yourself in so many ways, you know, to where it defines you, but the sagging of the pants, if you knew what it meant or where you knew where it come from, you wouldn't be doing it. But still, it's a fashion for them.
And I did not know about the whole slavery thing. That was very informational. I always thought it was a prison thing. I thought that came from jail. I had no idea.
That too.
But what does that have to? So how would you entwine the parenting with that? Because some people, like, again, you know, when we talking about the parenting then versus now, like, do you think parents are more like, don't wear your pants like that, or they pretty much like go outside and wear your pants like that?
I think if they're not saying anything, then their child is going to do whatever they want to do.
Silence is acceptance.
Yeah.
So if you don't tell Jimmy
yeah.
to pull them pants up before he leave, he's going to go out because he thinks that you think it's okay. And believe it or not, some parents are like, oh, my son looks cute like that. He's fashionable.
Yep.
Some people are just that way, which is very weird.
Yep, exactly. And then that pretty much brings me over to, just like you said, when you talk to your kids, like, you know, parents need to learn how to talk to their kids a little bit more. That comes with the morals, values, that comes with mannerisms. Like, even with that, it's like, if you're steady talking to your child, that's going to embed in them. And then eventually when they leave home or when they go out, they'll know how to act.
Right.
But if you're not talking to your child, because I've seen many kids just act a certain way in public, and I'll be like, who raised you? Like, why would you do, you know, it's certain things that just seem like common sense, but to be honest with you, it's not always common sense to everybody. If you're not talking to your child about what's right, what's wrong, or what should be done, or how you should be doing things, or how you treat people, they're going to do whatever they want to do. You know what I'm saying? There's kids, and I hate to say it, there's kids out here that are actually raising themselves, still have parents in the household or mom and dad, but they're raising themselves, and you can tell by their actions.
And the thing that gets me with a lot of parents is they get out and then they get embarrassed because Jimmy's doing stuff that they should have corrected in the house.
Right.
You know what I mean? Don't get out and try to train them. Train them at home. Don't, you know, then you all embarrassed and now you ready to beat him up in front of everybody because he embarrassed you, but he's just telling the story of how things are at home. He's jumping on the furniture. You got to watch out. You ain't doing nothing about it. Tax that button, make him sit down.
You've been jumping on the furniture.
Right. Well, you want to tell me, and now he come over my house and he jumping all over and I correct him. And you look like, you know better than that. Girl, bye. You don't be telling nothing at home.
Go ahead.
No, I wasn't going to say nothing. No, they were saying that it keeps freezing, so I don't know if we apologize. Maybe it's because of the storm.
It's raining now.
Oh, it's raining right now, you all. Especially those that are in Minnesota know we were supposed to get thunderstorms, so that's probably why.
I didn't even know that. But
yes, they said we were supposed to thunderstorm, No tornadoes.
What was I going to touch on? Something that you were talking about earlier when we were talking about the whole parenting thing. So back in the day, like you were saying, how you were afraid to do anything because the neighbors would. Oh my goodness! I remember now. When my parents were little, the neighbors could spank them. Now when I was little, they didn't spank, but they would come down and tell my parents what had happened. Well, because now that my parents are embarrassed that Miss So-and-so came down and told them, I'm getting it twice.
Right.
You know what I mean? Compared to now, if you tell a child don't do that, not only you going to get cussed out by the child, the parent is going to come back and try to cuss you out for telling their child something not to do. You know what I mean? Parents, it's out of control. You got to know your child.
Yeah, you do.
If somebody said your child do something, they're around you. You should know whether or not that's something your child. Don't go down there starting fights with the neighbors because the neighbors said they were throwing rocks. Did you tell your Johnny not to throw rocks? Mm-hmm. Is that something that Johnny would do?
Right.
If it is, then you just tell Johnny, yeah, you shouldn't have been throwing rocks. Were you throwing rocks? And then you just leave it at that. Don't go down there. Don't be telling my child.
Right. And that's a big thing in parenting back then. I just remember it was a community kind of thing.
Right.
Like everybody had the best interest of the kids. They had the best interest of, you know, making sure everybody's going the right way, doing the right thing. But it's like, I had a couple incidents that you try to tell a parent about their child and they get so offensive. So we got to a point that we just don't even do it no more.
Right.
Yeah.
But I still do it. But I mean,
I don't say nothing.
Yeah, because we got to that point because you don't want to deal with the fighting. You want to deal like you getting into an altercation with that person. So
because they're quick to say, well, don't tell me when your child's doing this.
Right? Yeah.
He's
your child.
I have all these good memories. I remember my mom had the neighbor across the street, and she know I'm telling the truth. Her name was Miss Thomas. She was watching me, so I went over to her house. And this was the first and last time she babysitted me. And I went over, so that made me think about Ariana. She gave me some water and it had a bug. It was actually a roach in the bottom of the cup. And so I was like, so I told, I told the lady, so back in the day, we could not say if something was in the cup, you know? So she went and told my mom or whatever, but it's like, I remember my mom was like, okay, you know, because she was like, you don't do that, you don't say that. But the lady actually got mad. She's like, she's going to be trouble. She's going to be, you know, all of this. But because my mom was like, okay, well, it was a bug in her cup, so she had a right to, you know, say it. But then, I don't know. Then the lady got mad because my mom was like, okay with me saying, you know, expressing what I saw. But it's just too much. Because if you could say something, then some people you could say something to, and some people you can't, you know. So
but it wasn't, like you said, it wasn't like that back then. Like now, there were certain ones that we can actually get chastised by, and then go home and then get a whooping again. Now, I went to a Catholic school. In the Catholic school, they were able to whoop us. Mm-hmm. They were able to whoop us, and so they would either use a big paddle or they would use a long ruler. And I remember whenever I was bad, like most of the boys got the paddles, but when I was bad too, y'all. But I would get, and I don't know why, because I was scared of my mom, but I would get the hold your hands out, and they would hit you with the ruler and hit you hard, and then call your mom. And when you got home, I got a whooping on top of that. And I said, I gotta learn how to stop being bad because I keep getting stuff I don't want. And so, and you were able to get corrected by the neighbor, by family members, and now it's not like that. But I think there's a difference now too, because like how they say, you know, back, I'll probably say about the last generation was probably like in the 90s or 80s, I would definitely say. In the 80s, that was the last like good generation. It's like these kids nowadays, they don't know what a whooping is. They don't know what a strap is. They don't know. If you told your child, if anybody told, I would challenge anybody to do this. Tell your child, go outside and get a switch. They're gonna be like, what is a switch?
Right.
And you know how we used to get the little one, we used to come in like, here you go.
My mom was a switch queen. Everybody used to make fun of me. They was like, every tree in y'all yard is bare.
Yes.
My mama did the switch thing all the time.
Yes. So do you think that now, so now I think the switch would be abuse.
Oh.
I would. I think it would
We
be
thought it was
abuse right
abuse
now.
too, but they did.
I'm trying to figure out where the whips at.
The belts.
Right from the switches. Why we ain't got no?
I don't know.
I got one with a switch.
No switching and no.
Well, you know, if you really think about it, we used to get it. I used to get it on my behind and my legs, and so that was it.
You think switching is abuse? That's interesting. What y'all think?
Y'all
chime in if you think she thinks today. Well, back then.
I still use the belt. I still use the belt though.
Well, back then, honey.
I know.
It wasn't abuse.
Now I couldn't even imagine your child be snatched out of your house so fast if you put a switch on.
Right? Yeah.
Wouldn't it be funny?
There was something on Facebook about that grandma that went and got that switch. Did y'all see it on Facebook? And they actually took her to jail.
Yeah, they did. I saw that.
For whooping her granddaughter or somebody with a switch.
Yep.
It was funny that you brought up the school thing because I came to Minnesota in '84, but I came from Detroit, Michigan. But I was in public school. And there, yes, the principal would give you the paddle and the teacher would give you the ruler, which I've gotten both of those a few times. And I'm like you, I was scared of my parents. I don't know why I was so naughty. I even got my mouth washed out with soap once because I had a bad mouth when I was little. But when I came to Minnesota and I saw the kids wilding out and talking crazy to the teacher, I lost my mind to a certain degree.
Right.
I knew I could only go so far.
I didn't want them like they doing it. It's okay.
I was shocked.
Right.
I was shocked. It was a culture shock, first of all.
Yes,
definitely. I was shocked that these kids were acting like this towards a teacher.
Yeah. Yep.
But if you think about it, when they took out the spankings from the school and from the parents, now the cops are whooping our kids' tails.
Exactly.
Because we can't.
Yep.
You know what I mean? And then we get mad that our kids are getting the hell beat out of them in the streets because they've taken that away from us.
Exactly.
That's why I think you tell little Johnny, if he do this or that, you're going to have to follow through and come up.
Right, exactly.
If he needs it. And if
like,
they take them.
Look, and be like, hey, you can tell them if they want to. They're going to lock you up. And then where you want to be at. So then you be like, okay, he ain't going to tell. But yeah, to a certain degree, I used to give my kids too. I'm not even going to lie. I would give my kids, and I would make sure that I got them to a point like, oh, you want to go? Because my daughter told me this. I'm sorry. I didn't mean to bust you out. But she told me, she was in 8th grade, and she told me, she was like, Mom, they told us that you can't whip us at school. I said, who? She said the police officer came, and then we all had a meeting. They said that would be abuse. I said, it's not abuse. I said, it's definitely not abuse. I said, she's like, yeah, they said we will have marks on us. I said, you won't have no marks.
Yeah.
Right. You definitely won't have no marks.
That changed the whole dynamics of things. Like I said, I used to whoop my kids. They used to get beat. Beat down. My mom didn't beat me, so that's why I beat mine. So it was a different dynamic. My mom got beat, so she decided not to beat us. And so I know how I turned out. So when I had my kids, I beat them. I'm like, it got to be some beating around here. But yeah, when they go to school, my daughter actually, she went to school and told, and I'm putting this out there, my daughter she had a soccer tournament. And my brother, he's probably watching, but she had like an old scar on her arm from playing soccer. So my brother came to town, so it was like, we live in Blaine, so it's kind of scary, we're like African Americans. We was the only ones out there at that time. So it was this cut through that you go to the school, and it's scary, like people will be waiting out there or whatever. So I told them when they walk to school to never go through this, this path, because any psychotic person could be there. So my brother came in town, so we was running around, showing him all, where they go to school. And my daughter said, I go this way to school. And I was like, I heard it. And, first of all, I got terrified because I'm like, this is scary, whatever. And so I said, when you get home, I am beating your...
Yeah.
And I wasn't watching my language then. And so I'm at home about 4 o'clock, and I'm like, where's my daughter? And so I'm like, 4 o'clock, maybe she's at the after school program. So I sent her brother to go to the school to see what was going on. So he didn't come back for like 30 minutes. So I'm like, what's going on? And so I said, you go up there, like they at the park. So, I'm thinking they're at the park. Like, tell them I'm not playing, get home, whatever. They go up there. The third one didn't come back. So I was like, finally let me go. Right, I'm like, because I thought they was at the park. That's usually what they do. They play at the park or whatever. I go up there. My daughter at 3:45 p.m. Well, no, 2:45 school got out. She went into the office and she told them that I beat her. She showed them an old scar on her arm.
Oh my gosh.
And they took my kids.
So they was collecting them.
I know. As they was going up. And I'm like, what? Wait a minute. I'm telling you that. I remember the police officer come to my house. And he was like, well, this, and we was talking. And I actually, slammed the door in their face. Because I'm like, it was like, you telling me that I beat my... I'm like, she didn't even get a whooping. I said, when she get home, she was going to get a whooping. Because it's terrifying to, go through it. Like, it's all kind of sick people out here. And it's like, y'all the only black kids walking to school.
Right.
And so, anyway, long story short, they ended up taking them for 3 days. But it was like... But once they did all the investigating, they came and they was like, okay, we found out everything. My son, was going to this place. I think they took him to some little temporary place to hold him there and my son was, literally going crazy on these people. Like, y'all better let me go home with my mom. But the thing about it is that they have gotten so comfortable with, the school has made the kids so comfortable that they could say anything, and if they have a disciplinary action that's going to happen, they could say whatever, and these people step in and kind of control your house.
Right.
Because at the end of the day, I was like, y'all keep her and send my other 2 home. You know what I mean? But when they all got home, I was like, I'm letting everybody beat you up. You know what I mean? Because it was like, but it's like parenting back then, if it was, it had to be some kind of investigation. It had to be some sign of they look abused. It had to be, you know, look like something has, you know, going on in the home. But it was just like, it's like she said it was an old scar from, and I was like, where is the scar? They was like, I'm like, what? Like just because I told her that she was gonna get whooped when she got home, you know. So I think just like the parenting thing, like, and so that does put you in the kind, like, that was the worst feeling I had ever had. That was the first time I've had my children away from me. My kids are my life, and I just was like, it did put some type of fear. Like, they grown now, but at the particular time, I mean, at that time, I still had to act like I was tough. But it did put some type of fear in me, like, I'm not going to whoop them no more. Because she can go to the school and say this, and, you know, and then all this stuff can happen, you know, to you, right? So, you know, so, I mean, back then, that stuff was like, I don't know. Just parenting back then is like, they did kind of manipulate the kids' minds to, you know, get away with a lot of stuff. Because after that, I don't think I probably did whoop them, because I was always fearful that if I said, this gonna happen or this, that they will go to the school and say that, you know?
I could totally see that. I think Tanu had put on there that back then there really wasn't much to take from us. You know, compared to now when they're naughty, you can take their gaming system. You can, especially if you take their phone, you can crush them with the phone. You know, those kinds of things. That's one of the differences that it looks like. What did Vera say? That you could do to punish your kids. And trust me, now that really hurts them. They are so Instagram and Facebook and Snapchat it up. You take that phone and they have my kids would rather have a whooping than have their phone taken away.
Oh yeah. Look, my kids would rather have a whooping than get yelled at. I remember screaming on my son. My son, he was just like, "Mom, just whoop me and get it over with." I don't know why.
I know, I'm a screamer too.
It need a mouse, and he's like, "Mom, can you just whoop me and get it over with?" Like, but I'm like, at that time, I didn't want to whoop them, but I think they kind of learned their lesson. But you know, my kids are really good now. But yeah, my kids are good now, but it's just like before, I'm like, yeah, you will get it. And you can go and tell them if you want to. I'm going to tell them to keep you. Just like you said, you might as well keep her.
Right. I was going to send the rest of them home, but then I was like, nope. Keep her. Again, guys, because of the storm, I'm assuming that's why we're having the freezing. But you could just keep tuning in and maybe catch up later. So what was the next thing we were talking about?
Basically, did y'all want to chime in on either that? And I know we was talking about corporal punishment or whatnot, so we did get into that. And we can't see you all's comments, so we do apologize, because normally we'll go in and we'll chime in and read your comments and things of that nature. Go ahead.
I was gonna say I was just gonna touch on the child abuse thing. What I found on the internet, that 20% of children are child abused. 20% are sexually abused, 14% are emotionally neglected, 10% are emotionally abducted, and physical neglect is 9%. 3.6 million referrals each year go into the county in the United States for children. So that's about every 10 seconds. Someone's reporting that they saw something that they didn't, that they would consider as abuse for a child.
What is emotionally abducted?
I don't know.
Emotionally abducted?
Yeah. Man, we probably need to look that up.
We're going to find that out. Because we need to look that up. I would like to know what that is, too.
Emotional abuse. Sorry.
Emotional
Abuse. I'm sorry, that's my writing.
Like, do they take your mind?
I'm like,
emotional abuse.
I'm going to take your emotions away from you.
I'm going to put them in this bag.
Right. You're going to be emotionless.
Physical abuse and emotional abuse. So, you know, beating the kids up with your words.
Okay.
Mess them up that way. You know, you can make them feel just as bad by saying certain things to them. You can mess them up too.
I tell my kids I love them afterwards.
Oh, wow.
I mean, so they didn't feel emotionally blue.
I mean, I heard what I said. You gotta go.
It's that firm, and especially with them saying we can't whoop our kids, so it's that firm. You're not gonna mess with me. You're not gonna play with me. You're gonna do what I say because I'm the adult, and I'm the one taking care of you. So at any given time, if you feel big and bad enough to do what you do, guess what?
Right.
Yeah, you can find a different home if you don't like it here. You know what I'm saying? But my kids, I've always made sure that they had a home, not just a house, that it was home. You know, it felt like home, and that's where they were comfortable. So,
go ahead, Ted.
So so when we was doing our little research or whatever, y'all, so the parenting back then versus now, I found it was a whole bunch of stuff, but some of the things that had stuck out, I kind of took little notes on them. The parenting back then did not have the distractions of a cell phone. Mm-hmm. So the parents now, they're saying that how we get distracted by our cell phones. So if a kid, and I know I'm guilty of it when Ariana's like, grandma, and I'm like, wait a minute, because I'm on the phone or I'm downloading something or whatever, but that distraction of a cell phone is making the parenting then versus now different. What else they said? Speaking to each other. The parenting back then, like usually if you had, like you said, you had to wash the dishes, your mom would come down and say, I need you to do this, and this needs to go here, and they kind of like had communication with you versus, or if I'm cooking dinner at this time, they communicated that with you versus now, like if your child is upstairs or downstairs, we are really like, come downstairs and eat.
Send a text.
Yeah, send a text. So that was something that stood out to me, and I was like, man, it was like chatting times. So like if you was on a road trip, like usually when you're in the car, you're looking at the scenery, you're talking about different things, you're laughing and talking. But when you're driving now, like usually the kids have on their headphones and they got their computers, and you're not even like it's like a 5-hour trip and nobody's saying anything to anybody. Only time that you do communicate is when you stop and get gas, which kind of takes the parenting away, because at that time that gives you time to get to know each other, to know what's been going on with their week or whatever. And so the last one, which was funny to me, was family photos. Oh. So back then when you were a parent, on Sunday or Saturday, you had this date, and everybody got dressed and got ready to go, and you know, like, we're going to take family photos, and you made it a big thing. Everybody get in the car and they go take their photos. You wait for them to get, you know, processed and print them out and put them in your book or whatever. But now it's like you're taking your photos on the cell phone, and it's just boom, bam, and you look at it and that's it. Yeah. So that was some really big things to me when I thought like parenting versus then versus now, because it's so normal.
So
like, yeah.
Do you do that?
What do I do? What?
Do you do family photos still?
No.
Do you?
I don't.
I said that we had to do it now, because I did say if my daughter came here, and I think what I'm going to do is when I send my kids down there, I'm going to go as well, and I think we are going to look at some family photos and doing them. But I mean, my kids take pictures of school, and I really have not taken a family photo in a while, and that's what made me, I did think about that. I was like, I have to take a family photo. But I wanted to say something too. Even back then, with the cell phones, you have the social media and all that, so I see how you get distracted. But even when I was little, when we saw mom on the phone, we didn't say nothing. It was disrespectful. So when she was on the phone, because she'll be like, don't you see me on the phone? Yeah. Right. That was her, you don't see me on the phone? Like, you being disrespectful, like, because you interrupted me and you see I'm on the phone. Right. So, but I see what you're saying with the social media and the phone and things of that nature. Right. We definitely need to make sure we have that, spend that quality time with our children, just that out time, just to see what's going on. And that's another thing, because we don't know what's going on with our kids, and these kids are finding outlets and add other avenues to things that's think about, and I don't want to go this direction, but think about, you know, the two that was Menendez boys. They was building the whole, was that the one that they was building the whole bomb? Was that the guys? No, that wasn't them. It was someone else. Was actually building a whole entire bomb in his room. Like, how didn't the parent pick up on that? So there was sounds like there was some emotional or mental, you know, issues going on. But not only that, it was like he seemed like he was disconnected. Like, y'all in the same house, but yeah, you're disconnected from your parents. Because how do your parents not know that you building a bomb in your room? Right. I don't remember what it was. Somebody can chime in and tell me. I don't know if it was the Texas killing. Was it the bombing? The Waco, Texas. I can't remember which one it was, but yeah, he was building a whole entire bomb in his room, and they never even knew anything about
Jeffrey Dahmer too, though.
No, he was the one eating people.
Right, but he had stuff all in the house.
He was wrong.
Ebony, you got Anthony
Holcomb.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, the media and government has made it a crime to discipline your children. Yes, they have. They have definitely made it a crime to discipline your children.
Your eyes is not working anymore.
What?
I just went out because of the freezing, so I don't know.
Oh. And that's from my page. He's on my page. So, but yep, definitely. So that's what I want to say about that.
Yeah, another thing that when I had got was the parenting back then versus now. Do you guys? I don't know if you guys had that happen to you, but on a Saturday morning when you watch cartoons.
I love Saturday morning
I
cartoons.
know,
Oh my
young.
God.
I mean, like, you get up in the morning and you like, you're so excited. You got your cereal, your PJs on, and I mean, like, you only had this time frame that you could watch cartoons. But when I was doing my research, parenting back then versus today, do you know that we don't even have a set time for our children to watch cartoons? They don't have nothing to look forward to because, like, Cartoon Network, 24 hours a day. You can look up on the Hulu, Netflix, all this. So it's like the parenting back then, it was like they kind of made it seem like it was a structure.
Yeah.
Like, you know, Saturday morning, you get up, you eat your cereal, you watch cartoons, and then after that, you have to do house cleaning. Then you have to get preparation to go outside, your chores. You know what I mean? So it's like, man, parenting back then, like they had some type of structure versus us now. Like, kids couldn't go sit down and watch the Flintstones anytime they want to.
Yeah.
So that was another one. I was like, wow, like, yeah, a lot has changed because that's what we used to do on Saturday mornings.
I was just thinking about when we were talking about the whole eating dynamic. Just because so many families are so busy now, you don't eat at the same time every day. And you're right, you know what I mean? So you have to kind of wait for the parents, but you're right. If you don't sit down, you know, like back in the day, remember how you used to come to the table and eat?
Sit down.
And I'm guilty of this
soon
right
as
now.
Daddy got home.
Yeah.
I'm guilty of this. We don't sit at the table and eat anymore.
Yeah.
I'm in front of the TV, they're in front of the TV, or they're in their room.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? That's
Being
one thing
entertained.
that we used to do when we were little compared to one of the things that we don't do now. There was something else that you were talking about that I wanted to comment on.
I will say this while you're looking. Me and my kids still do eat together. We have always ate together, and that's just because I felt like, you know, I did have a structure, so when they came home, they did a little bit of homework, or I would have a snack waiting for them while I was finishing up cooking. So at that time, they had to start homework. When we were done, when dinner was done, I would fix their plates, and we would all sit at the table. They put their homework aside when we eat, and I usually would play like music because I love jazz, and I would love like gospel or something like that, or something just really soft. And we would sit down, we would eat. I ask them how their day was and whatnot. And then, because I don't allow eating in their bedrooms. And so, when they got done eating, they finished their homework. And then at that point, when they were done with their homework, they could play a game, they could watch TV, they could do whatever. And then it was bath time, and then they could chill out until it was time for their bedtime. So yeah.
If anybody's on there, you can actually go to Ebony's page. Hers and not Freeze, and I think Amika's is still. I think Ebony's the only one that's working right now. But do you guys give us a heart or anything? If you still have like the structure thing, I don't even think anybody sits down and eat dinner.
I'm sure there are some people out there like that. It's few and far between.
Yeah,
right.
Even my kids, me and my daughter, it's just me and my daughter now in the house. So her and I, we sit at the bar thing, the counter, and she would sit on one side, I would sit on the other.
Right.
That's still cool.
Dinner. Yeah,
I know.
Eat dinner.
But I mean, it was very important. It wasn't even an option back in the day. Parents, when the father got home, or for me, is when my dad got off work, or when my mom got off work, it was straight to cook dinner, and then it's like everybody sitting there.
Right.
I want to do this. Okay, so I do remember we were staying in the Stevens building. Shout out to those that remember the Stevens building. But we literally, like, when it was like right now, McDonald's was like, we're going to McDonald's. We were like, oh my gosh, it was a big thing, but it was also a big thing. I remember when King Kong first came out, the 70s version, 80s, whatever you want to call it. And I remember my mom was like, we're going to watch King Kong tonight, you guys. So guess what? We used to have to put the newspaper on the floor, she said, so you guys can eat on the floor. We was like, yes! We put the newspaper down, and we put our plates down, and we watched King Kong. We was excited. I was like, I just remember the feeling. I remember exactly how my apartment looks and everything. I just remember how excited me and my brother was because we was able to. She sat up on the couch and she with the old flower. Ooh, so old school. Yeah, and we sat down and we watched King Kong. Like that was a big thing for us. And I said, if I ever get older, I'm gonna eat McDonald's every day. Yeah, right.
That microwave parenting. I just remember, like you said, you brought that memory. A Big Mac was like the biggest.
Yes.
Like,
That's what you had to buy.
I know. You got excited to get a Big Mac, but
I was just thinking to myself, Do you think that parents are making the mistake with, like how when we were coming along, like you said, we had structure, come home, do homework, start that until supper time, and after supper time, do chores, and then it's time to go. Now, the kids have their chores, but they kind of do them when they want. You know what I mean? But at least they're getting it done. Do you think that they're being kind of wimpy? I feel like we're raising a wimpy generation. I really do. Like, everybody gets a trophy for participating. You know what I mean? That, to me, isn't right. You had to earn it when we were little. You had to earn that.
These kids today are soft.
They really are.
They soft.
I don't understand that.
We endured a lot. We done rode bikes, fell off them, almost cracked our neck. It's okay. Now you get them, they be like, oh, bring them to the hospital. It's abuse. You can't. Oh my goodness. I'm like,
the helmet. Yeah. The helmet is a good idea, but
Right. We just did so much.
What about when remember y'all used to play down the street and play wherever until the street lights came on, and then you had to be home or in front of the house? And now,
and I don't know why. I don't care where I was. It felt like I was about 5 blocks away, but I could hear Ebony. I'd be like, oh, my mom calling me. So she'll be standing on the porch. I remember. I'm like, I'm coming, mama. Oh my goodness. I just remember growing up as a kid. I loved being a kid. It's not like today. And then another thing I want to bring out too is just like you said, we're playing outside. It's not as dangerous. Like, we could go outside and talk to the man across the way. I remember this man across the street had a big old python. We were like, Mom, the dude over there, she's like, yeah, that's Mr. So-and-so. Go on across the street. And he would like show us the python. It was very few and far in between did you hear about somebody being pedophile-ish, that you would even hear about that type of stuff, or where it was dangerous, or, whatever. And, we were able to do that. We could play outside. People be watching us. Like I said before, like, my mom knew if something was going on. She knew about it. And I'm like, how did you know you want to go outside? So, and nowadays, you can't even do that. They talking to the girl that she looks gentle across the way and be like, her head about to spin. You be so, it's just something to where you can't just trust everybody.
And that goes for family members, too.
Oh,
yeah. But the whole... I was going to bring up that, did you guys know that every 40 seconds a kid goes missing in the United States? That's around 460,000 kids a year. And out of that, it's 1,500 plus that are taken by like a family member. Could be an uncle, mom, dad, something like that. But kidnapping's another big one.
That's crazy.
Yeah, it is. But yeah, that whole pedophile thing, that's like a recent thing. Maybe it's always been, but...
I know, but what was the difference with the parenting back then that we knew, or because how did it change so drastically now? Like, because I remember you couldn't go blocks and blocks. That was another thing. It said you can go blocks and blocks and ride your whole neighborhood, and you could be You can go. Well, I don't know about going to people's house. I think parents did say you can go, but never. My mom was like never going to the house.
I can't go.
No, I couldn't go. I could go to it, but I couldn't go.
Right, but you. I mean, but it's like what has changed with the parenting now? Like you have to be so.
You have to be careful.
Yeah, you gotta like watch them. You gotta. I mean, to the point you gotta ask for their phone number, meet the mom, meet the dad. I mean, we never did that in our neighborhoods. I don't know, but.
So you didn't. Now, yes, your parents had to meet somebody that you were going.
Right.
What about now? Did you guys do that with your kids?
Yeah.
If they were going to go to a sleepover.
And the thing is, my kids don't.
I didn't allow my kids to do that.
My kids don't know about sleepovers. They were like, yeah, well, my mom would let us go. Yeah, I didn't because I don't know them. Yeah. So that's something I just did not play. We couldn't do that because I don't know who's in your house. I don't know what we're dealing with, what demons we're dealing with. I just say that because I'm very cautious. But I didn't let my kids do no sleepover. It was a couple of friends of my eldest daughter, one of my middle daughter, and then there was one of my son, and that's because it was my cousin, and I knew who she was. But other than that, we did not do no sleepovers. I didn't do sleepovers for my kids.
What about you, Tiff?
My mom, well, when my kids grew up, because where we was living at, it definitely was like, you have to know. That's why I'm glad that we had our little sports moms and dads, like they would be able to go over there, but not where we lived in Blaine. Like, of course, I was like, they couldn't. Or even if they wanted to go hang out, like I had to meet the mom, meet the dad. Because by that time, when we was having our kids, that era had totally changed, so we was like, you wouldn't trust it. So back then, my mom, when we went somewhere, like I said, we was just free to go anywhere, but I always remember not going into somebody's house. That was the main thing. You couldn't go like 10 blocks away, but you cannot go into somebody's house. And you couldn't speak to strangers. And that's another thing, like the parenting back then, when they said that, we did that.
Right.
Like I could tell Ariana that. I'm like, don't talk to strangers. And she'll be like, oh, hi, my name is Ariana. And you're like, didn't I just say that? But we were so terrified. And like I said, I didn't get beat or whatever, but it was something about when a parent said, don't talk to somebody or don't do this. Like, we did it.
Right.
But now, like, I tell Ariana all the time, like, when we go in, don't talk to them. As soon as we go in, hi, my name is Ariana. I'm like, like, didn't I just say don't do that?
Yeah.
So parenting back then, they definitely had some kind of fear factor that they put into us.
They did.
To make us, like, to know.
Yeah, like,
and it's weird because I'm thinking, like, why or whatever.
I think
versus the kids now.
I think because the kids are not getting, there's no repercussions.
Yeah.
There's no repercussions. We're not. The thing is, if you think about it, you're not whooping Ari because she talked to a stranger. Like when we said, like, literally, and this is a true story. My old best friend from junior high. I remember her dad told her not to do something, and she did it. I was there, and they didn't care that you had company.
Right. Oh, yeah.
They didn't care that you had company. He was like, where did you go? She said, I told you I had to stay after for testing. He said, remind me when your company leave to smack you. You think she didn't get smacked? She got smacked by her dad because he said, I specifically told you, don't do it, and you did it anyway. He smacked her. I said, I'm not laughing, sorry. Because I just remember, you can't be, I'm like, because I didn't do that. I'm like, see, you didn't tell me. Now I got to be see, my thing was I was embarrassed for you because now he think you were me. He going to think I'm trouble.
Right.
When you don't disobey him, and I'm not like that. So, but I was also going to say, remember when we was younger, and I don't know if this was y'all, when we would ask to like go to our friend's house or something like that, my mom she couldn't stand it. She said, I told you, do not ask me no questions in front of your friends. That don't mean I'm going to say yes.
My mom hated that too. Don't ask for anything to eat in front of your
friends. Because
I don't want to can I have a cookie? She was like, didn't I tell you not to ask?
That means I got to feed the whole neighborhood. Because the thing is, our parents didn't play that. My mom, she was not one that would give me something, not give somebody else's child something. Right. So it's like, if she didn't have enough, why would you ask me in front of these kids?
That was another thing.
Okay, guess what? She told me unless she said, I'm going to give him one.
Yours,
you ain't going to have one. I'm like.
Especially when you had those little freeze pops or whatever. Like, I'm going to give, so you ain't going to have nothing. You be looking all stupid with your friends.
You don't do that again, though. I didn't.
Yeah, trust me, we learned our lessons. That's what I mean by repercussions. We learned our lesson. I'm like, I ain't gonna do that no more. That girl, I'm sitting there mad. She ain't my cookie.
Right. I'm just sitting up here just trying to think, like, what would, when they did the parenting back then, like, if some things, like my mom, I was off the chain too, but like, it's certain things, I would do what I wanted to do all the time, but that certain thing what she would say, I would like know that she's not playing.
Yeah.
Well, that brings me to something that I have written down here. Back in the day, the man went out and worked, and the wife stayed home and kept the house, which meant kept keeping the children. So she was pretty much responsible for raising them, and he was the enforcer. Where now you've got a lot of families that have just one parent, and if that parent's got to make ends meet, they might have two jobs. So there's really no one.
That was the biggest. Right. That's the biggest thing I hated with my parenting was discipline on the phone. Because I would be like, you on punishment. But knowing I had to be at work for like 24 or like 12 hours. So how are they at home? And, and it's like, really, they're not doing what. And I remember the fear thing like of my father because he was the disciplinary in the house. But, you had to have it done before he got there. Like, I used to scream and holler at my kids so much to be like, when my parents said something like you were fearful, if they said wash the dishes like you said, they will be like done or you'll be so scared. But I was like, I used to tell my kids to do something and when I got home it would still be there. And I'm like, what am I not doing? They get whoopings, they getting all this punishment, all this stuff, but why are they like right?
Yeah, there was no
but parenting back then they didn't repeat it. So
let me tell you one more time. I was like, oh my gosh, she's going to kill me.
So
So
we got 1 minute.
Okay, so again, we apologize about the delay. I know a couple of them were having issues with the phone. So because of the weather is just bad over here. So
Ebony's yours lasted beyond everybody.
Mine lasted? I can't believe
Because Ebony's the one that usually go out.
I have issues with my phone, and then the
Mine
first
too.
time mine actually went out completely, and then they couldn't hear me or whatnot. So, but we do thank you guys for chiming in. We will make sure that, hopefully, we'll make sure we have everything set up to where we're actually able to read your comments and comment on them again. So, because we want those, and hopefully, you guys will share this with your friends, and we're also going to share it on YouTube. So love the number 4 opinions.
Yes.
So look for that. It will be on YouTube.
Y'all, guess what? Next week, y'all gonna be so excited.
Yes,
We're excited.
What's the topic gonna be?
We gonna
A lot of them.
Wait a minute. Ooh, we gonna have one of. We don't know which one, but Edie's not here. Wait, and Edie, we gotta think about Edie. Next week, y'all tune in. One of the podcasters is gonna be on the hot seat.
We're gonna take turns. Yeah.
We got one of us. We don't know who it's gonna be yet, but tune in next Thursday. You get to ask any question you want, any juicy questions. We'll have this up and running. We'll be putting the person on the hot seat, and whoever's on the hot seat, they all open. So we just want you guys to get to know us better. So tune in next Thursday, 7 o'clock. Thank you guys for putting up with us.
Thanks everybody.
Thank you.
See you next week. Bye bye.
Bye. That freezer.
I know. And
Freezer
yours
phone.
lasted the whole time.
Oh my goodness. I'm surprised mine lasted the whole
I
time.
know.
I gotta go back and
Wait,
look
you
at my
gotta do
comments.
save. Make sure you do it.
I need to find where it's saved. I need you to come over and show
okay.
me.
You have to show us too,
Yeah.
because you know I don't know.
I got all the way from
Okay, let's see.
Brandon Robinson.
Edie chimed in.